In some families, inheritance becomes the unspoken guide, shaping actions and intentions in ways they hardly recognize. Here, David and Sarah, Robert's children, are more drawn to their father's wealth than to the man himself. They see each possession, every asset, as the true reward, their ultimate prize. If only they'd remember, riches often bring burdens when unaccompanied by understanding. Money, like sand, can slip through one's fingers if clutched too tightly, especially when it's all one sees. How often do we hold on to what slips away, thinking it's the key to happiness? Even as they calculate each share, each dollar they believe they're owed, the essence of family fades into the background. Their focus narrows, nearly closing them off from Robert's wisdom. He once taught them to appreciate life beyond material wealth. He taught them sacrifice, truth, and family loyalty. But now, surrounded by wealth, they barely see him, as if the person who built it means less than the legacy he leaves behind. There's a mystery in this, a familiar echo for those who've watched loved ones grow distant over money's allure. Picture this. David runs through accounts with a grim determination, while Sarah, intent and calculating, silently plans for her future gain. Their father becomes less a person and more a figure in a ledger, a distant face obscured by numbers. It's the kind of life puzzle many chase yet never solve, thinking wealth is all that matters only to find something vital lost. Haven't you ever pursued something so deeply that you missed the simple joy along the way? They avoid asking themselves why they are so driven by this inheritance. For them, truth lies hidden, ignored, just like that forgotten lesson Robert shared about finding happiness beyond possessions. Truth and mystery are kindred spirits in this family saga. Often, it's our unspoken fears that guide us as much as our spoken ambitions, isn't it? And here they are, siblings with strained smiles, making empty gestures toward Robert, all while keeping one eye on the family wealth. There's a certain irony to it, placing all hope in what's fleeting while ignoring what's lasting. David and Sarah, fixated on the tangible, lose sight of the very things they'll regret one day. So many of us lose what matters most in search of what matters least, don't we? Robert's presence fades as they strategize. The father becomes an afterthought, his health overlooked. Yet this tale of wealth and want, truth, and sacrifice hints at a larger unfolding mystery. And with every calculated glance and whispered plan, a question emerges. What truths are hidden beneath their ambition? After all, isn't there often more to the story than meets the eye? Amidst all the tension over inheritance, Robert finds solace in the company of his grandson Ethan out in the garden. Surrounded by the hum of nature, he teaches Ethan lessons that go beyond dollars and cents. There's something pure about this shared space, a quiet reminder that real wealth lives in moments like these. Robert has a knack for revealing life's truths without a lecture, a rare gift. Just as each plant needs nurturing to thrive, so does family, an insight that Ethan is beginning to grasp. In their garden conversations, Robert emphasizes that true value isn't in wealth but in bonds. Money will come and go, he tells Ethan, but loyalty, sacrifice, and truth, those stay. Watching Ethan absorb these lessons, Robert feels hope that maybe these family values will endure, even if money's allure threatens to overshadow them. Sometimes, it's in the simplest exchanges that we find life's most profound truths, isn't it? A simple chat in a garden can sometimes plant seeds that last a lifetime. Robert's gentle words hint at stories from his past, moments when he too faced choices between material gain and family integrity. For Ethan, it's a revelation to see his grandfather as more than just the keeper of the family fortune. Every story Robert shares is a reminder of what's been lost in the family's relentless chase for wealth. It's in these tales of struggle and sacrifice that Ethan finds wisdom often lost on those seeking only financial gain. As Robert speaks, Ethan sees wealth in a new light. The idea of mystery family truths begins to take root, making him wonder about the connections he's taken for granted. Robert doesn't tell him outright, but there's an unspoken message that the answers to life's big questions aren't found in bank accounts. For Ethan, who's heard so much about inheritance and wealth, these are words he never expected yet desperately needs to hear. They sit, surrounded by blooming flowers and lush greenery, and Ethan can sense the depth of Robert's message. Unlike the sharp, calculating discussions between his parents, this talk feels nurturing, grounded. It's like water for a parched soul. How often do we find that the most valuable lessons come from places of stillness, places we overlook in our chase for more? Sometimes, the truth waits patiently in quiet corners, like a grandfather's garden. Robert's hope is that Ethan carries these lessons forward, but he knows life will have its way. He offers this wisdom like seeds scattered to the wind, trusting they'll land where they're needed. In every family there's a mystery, an untold truth waiting to be discovered. And as they sit side by side, Robert sees a glimmer of understanding in Ethan's eyes, a hint that perhaps, just perhaps, the real inheritance might be something far more lasting than gold or land. While Robert and Ethan share quiet lessons in the garden, Sarah and her brother Mark are busy behind closed doors, diving deep into the family's inheritance. These discussions aren't casual. Each has a strategy, a plan, and a readiness to gain the upper hand. For them, it's almost a game of chess, each move calculated to secure their piece of the family wealth. But as we know, when wealth drives the heart, family connections can start to wither. Ever noticed how ambition can turn even the closest bonds into mere transactions? Sarah, meticulous and focused, tends to manipulate situations subtly, hoping to maximize her share without raising alarms. Mark, more blunt, doesn't mind showing his intentions. He's got his sights set on what he feels is his due, and he's not shy about making moves to claim it. For Sarah and Mark, it's about who will outsmart the other, who will leave with the largest piece. This push and pull, this conflict between siblings, carries echoes of age-old stories where wealth becomes the wedge that drives families apart. The strange part? Their father, Robert, is still here, a living part of the family's story. But they're so consumed by this inheritance dispute that they've barely thought about his well-being. It's a stark reminder that often our focus on the material blinds us to the human. And isn't it common to hear tales of families pulled apart by wealth, each member convinced their sacrifice was greater, their claim truer? These disputes have a way of unveiling truths, but often the truths are ones we'd rather not see. For Mark and Sarah, the inheritance isn't just money, it's power, validation, a symbol of who won in the family. But as they maneuver and strategize, the real mystery lies in what they're willing to sacrifice for it. There's an irony in how they seek truth in dollars, as if every figure on the ledger can tell them who they are. Isn't it funny how, sometimes, the closer we get to what we want, the more we lose sight of why we wanted it? Their back and forth becomes exhausting, each accusing the other of unfair moves, each convinced they deserve more. The tension between them grows, and the once simple idea of family starts to fade into the background. Wealth, it seems, can strip even the most sacred connections bare, leaving nothing but cold transactions in its wake. Sarah and Mark's story reflects that universal mystery, the one where love and loyalty fade in the shadow of gold. But with each dispute, each pointed word, they inch closer to truths they may not be prepared to face. As this clash over inheritance deepens, one wonders if they'll ever realize that some mysteries in family are better left unsolved. Yet, in every argument, in every accusation, there's a quiet truth waiting to be acknowledged, and maybe, just maybe, it's not the inheritance itself that holds the key. A sudden turn in Robert's health changes everything. One moment, the family is embroiled in arguments and schemes. The next, they're united at his bedside. It's a jarring shift. Seeing him frail, vulnerable, reminds them of what they've been overlooking. Illness has a way of stripping away pretenses, doesn't it? When someone we love suffers, we often realize how much we've taken for granted. Here, sacrifice and truth take on a new meaning, not in terms of inheritance but in terms of connection. This crisis pulls at their hearts, reminding them that family isn't about dollar signs or assets. For Sarah and Mark, standing together in worry, it's almost as if they're children again, fearing for their father. The mystery of family, its messy, beautiful ties, begins to surface. They're reminded that life is fleeting and wealth can't buy more time. In moments like these, doesn't everything material just seem to lose its importance? Ethan, too, is deeply affected, seeing his strong grandfather in such a fragile state. For him, it's a sobering lesson in life's unpredictability and the importance of being present for loved ones. Ethan stands by Robert, holding his hand, hoping his presence will offer comfort. There's no strategy here, no calculation, just love. This kind of moment, where sacrifice means simply being there, is a kind of truth money can't touch. As hours turn into days, the family's usual concerns fade, replaced by a genuine hope for Robert's recovery. They stop speaking about inheritance, about who's entitled to what. Instead, there's a shared silence, a mutual understanding that they're bound by more than blood and assets. Isn't it interesting how life's trials can remind us of our deepest values? Sometimes, it's these unexpected hardships that teach us what really matters. Sarah and Mark, though still carrying their past grievances, share a moment of vulnerability. Their father's fragility pulls them closer, highlighting a truth that wealth often buries: family can't be measured in dollars. They look at each other, a quiet understanding passing between them. Perhaps for the first time they're seeing each other beyond the rivalry. Sometimes, it takes a moment of crisis to reveal what's hidden in plain sight. The health crisis opens up a chance for connection, for truths they've long ignored to be acknowledged. For Robert, lying in that hospital bed, it's a silent plea for his family to remember what he's always valued. In this room filled with anxious faces and clasped hands, the mystery of family comes alive in ways no inheritance ever could. And as they wait, each is left wondering, when all is said and done, what will remain? When the family gathers for the reading of Robert's will, they brace themselves for what they expect: a clear division of wealth among his children. But as the words unfold, they're stunned to find a substantial portion left to an unknown woman, Lucy Moore. This isn't just a surprise, it's a shock that unsettles everyone in the room. They exchange glances, each face a mix of confusion and disbelief. Who is this woman, and why would Robert leave her such a significant share? A mystery seems to linger in the air. Sarah and Mark, who had calculated their shares down to the last penny, are now thrown off balance. Their minds race, questions piling up as they wonder what connection Lucy could possibly have with their father. It's as if a hidden layer of Robert's life has just emerged, leaving them reeling. They realize that there's more to their father than they ever cared to uncover. Sometimes life's biggest mysteries aren't in the unknown but in what we thought we knew, isn't that true? Ethan, on the other hand, sees this differently. He remembers the garden conversations with Robert, those talks about sacrifice, truth, and family. Perhaps this inheritance isn't just about wealth but about leaving something meaningful. Ethan senses there might be a story here, a story of love, friendship, or even sacrifice that his family hasn't acknowledged. In every life, there are untold truths, relationships we may not fully understand until moments like this reveal them. The shockwaves ripple through the family as they wonder about Lucy's intentions. Who is she to Robert? A friend, a confidant, perhaps someone who helped him when they weren't around? Each family member wrestles with their own theories, but one thing is certain. This mystery, this hidden truth, challenges everything they thought they understood. It's almost like a puzzle left behind, urging them to piece together the fragments of Robert's life. With every passing moment, the curiosity deepens, but so does the tension. What they thought would be a straightforward inheritance has now become a journey into Robert's past, a story they never knew existed. This moment forces them to reconsider not only who Robert was but also who they are as a family. Isn't it fascinating how a single revelation can change our entire understanding of someone? As they sit in stunned silence, the air thick with unanswered questions, the family faces a choice: cling to their assumptions or uncover the truth about Lucy and their father's legacy. The mystery isn't just about the will or the inheritance. It's about understanding Robert's sacrifices and the truths he left behind. And in this quiet, suspended moment, they feel the weight of an untold story waiting to be explored. Driven by curiosity and a lingering sense of unease, the family sets out to uncover who Lucy Moore truly is. Each step in their investigation pulls them deeper into a part of Robert's life they never knew existed. Sarah and Mark start with skepticism, wanting answers that will confirm their own suspicions. Yet, the further they go, the more they realize this isn't just about inheritance. It's about discovering the man their father was. Isn't it strange how secrets can reshape our entire understanding of those closest to us? The family's search for truth leads them to places and people that Robert once held dear. They uncover letters, photographs, and mementos that reveal a life of friendships, sacrifices, and choices that shaped him in ways they'd overlooked. Lucy isn't just a name in a will anymore. She represents something deeply personal in Robert's journey. Sometimes we think we know someone, but often, there's an entire mystery behind their silence, right? For Ethan, this journey becomes a lesson in the complexity of human connections. He's struck by the idea that Robert's life was more than just the wealth he accumulated. It was filled with relationships, some unspoken, that held meaning beyond what money could measure. Ethan sees the irony in how his family chased inheritance but missed the chance to truly understand Robert. Isn't it true that real value often lies in what's left unsaid? As they piece together fragments of Robert's life, they feel a quiet sense of reconciliation forming. Each discovery softens their resentment, replacing it with respect and, for some, even regret. The mystery surrounding Lucy brings them closer, forcing them to confront their own shortcomings. It's like they're finally seeing Robert, not as a source of wealth, but as a man with his own sacrifices, his own truths. It's a humbling reminder of how family isn't just about inheritance but shared understanding. There's a subtle change in Sarah and Mark, too, as they come to grips with the reality that Lucy's presence was never meant to divide them but to reveal a side of Robert they'd ignored. This isn't just about uncovering secrets. It's about healing old wounds, about seeing the mystery of family in a new light. How often do we ignore the lessons hidden in life's unexpected turns, only to find them waiting when we least expect? Finally, as they stand on the edge of understanding, they sense that this journey has brought them closer than any inheritance could. Lucy's mystery, her connection to Robert, is a truth they may never fully grasp, but it has shown them the importance of seeing each other beyond wealth and rivalry. And as they look back, they realize that the real legacy Robert left behind wasn't money, but the opportunity to rebuild as a family. They say family is everything, but what happens when it's the money, not the love, that keeps you together? For Robert's children, his inheritance loomed larger than his health. His life was more a fortune to split than a man to cherish. It's a tough pill to swallow, right? When those closest to you seem to care more about what they stand to gain than what they could lose. Here's where truth meets a deep family mystery, and where the sacrifices we make, or don't make, show who we really are. When you look at your own life, what have you been prioritizing? The things you own or the connections you build? Sometimes, it's the simplest moments, the most honest conversations, that reveal the true value of our journey. What sacrifices are you willing to make to strengthen your family bonds? And what truths do you still need to face? Every story, every loss, shows us that the greatest legacy we can leave is love and understanding. So I ask you, what truly matters to you? Are you ready to redefine your concept of inheritance and live more authentically? If this message resonated with you, subscribe to the channel, share what touched your heart most, and turn on notifications to keep exploring powerful topics like this one.